This chapter is called Thirst for Infrastructure. It's in the opening section of the book. The chapters in this sequence are kind of like TV shows on the infotainment spectrum. So the first chapter is kind of a newscaster-themed chapter. Then there's a sports commentator chapter, and this is a documentary-style TV show chapter. A distorted eye appears through a glass of water. The camera zooms out to reveal the presenter at a kitchen sink, dressed in nerd-chic attire, staring intensely at the prop. As I reflect upon this glass of water, I see the future of the internet. Water on demand is a modern marvel. We cut to a montage of turning tap handles, waving at sensors to rinse hands, filling bathtubs, splashing faces, scrubbing dishes, flushing toilets, pressing buttons on clothes washers, watering crops. Back in the kitchen, the presenter shuts the tap off. Virtually every building in this modern city is connected to modern water technology. It hasn't always been this way. The presenter takes a sip. Off the tilt of the cup, the image dissolves to a pale emptying into a pot. Imagine fetching water by hand. The camera climbs to a bird's-eye view to reveal a reenactment of life in an old city. We fast forward through performers in drab peasant clothing lining up, pumping, and dragging water away. This old city is about to build new technology by revisiting ancient technology. Aerial shots take us over the remnants of a stone road and the remains of an aqueduct. Ancient civilizations provided a first taste of transportation infrastructure. The image transitions from the real aqueduct to a model. From behind a replica of a region from antiquity, the presenter explains, "Modern water systems have the same basic components as classical designs." A finger hovers over elements in the model in close-up shots. A reservoir. The camera pushes in on a minuscule lake. A distribution network. The camera follows a mini aqueduct to a mini city. And taps. The camera stops on figurines around a tiny public fountain. Our predecessors found these ideas worth revisiting. Back at the reenactment, actors acting as engineers unfurl plans for a new water network. Teams of horses carry materials and equipment to the job site. Workers start digging, laying pipes, and replacing the pump. We hear the clamor of work animals grunting, tools banging, workers yelling. After taking in the sights and sounds of construction activity, we focus on the blueprints of a pumping station. The shot dissolves to the result of those designs. Entering the now old building, the presenter continues. Cities that endured tearing up streets and renovating buildings to accommodate water and sewer systems not only survived, but thrived. The presenter stares in awe at the infrastructure. The next scene takes us to a kitchen from the same era as when the pumping station was being constructed. The presenter fills a sink from an old tap. People were delighted with the new streaming service and wanted more. The presenter turns on an old light fixture to reveal a telephone that requires speaking with an operator. New utilities gushed forth. Electric and telephone wires became as essential as water and sewage pipes. The presenter approaches a wall with a small door. Our predecessors even tried automating moving things other than water. The presenter slides open a small door to reveal a tray filled with food. Food elevators connect kitchens and dining rooms. The presenter moves to another opening and hoists a bag into it, and shoots whisk things like garbage, laundry, and even mail away. The camera follows the load into darkness. a tiny train emerges from a tunnel into a small station and stops next to the presenter. Before becoming a museum, this station handled mail from underground trains. The presenter checks tags and pitifully tries sorting the bags. More mail arrives from chutes, pneumatic tubes, and conveyor belts. Before being buried by the deluge, the presenter declares, "Imagine managing messages by hand as people once did before computers and the internet." The camera follows pneumatic tubes into a museum with a gargantuan machine, attaching computers the size of a room to objects would not have been a sensible method to improve transport. The presenter loads punch cards into the machine that starts beeping and whirring. A shot follows the movement of the obsolete computer and lands on the presenter's smartwatch. Computers are smaller today. The concept of using computers to move goods might be worth revisiting. The presenter puts the smartwatch in a capsule and puts it in a tube. The program switches to an animated format following the capsule. Think of the internet like a train network, the narrator's voice implores. The capsule containing the smartwatch morphs into a cartoon version of a box on a train. Trains are data packets. Cargo represents data. A shot tilts down to show track in a tunnel. A rail line is like an internet connection. The train arrives at the cartoon version of the mail station. Stations are like computers and servers. A cartoon worker removes the box from the train, checks the tag, and leaves the station. Workers represent code. The animation follows a hive of activity as workers load and unload boxes and set the destination displays on trains. We zoom out as components of the train network become more abstract. The trains, now labeled data packets, flow faster. The final image resembles a schematic of the internet. Labels for server, internet cable, and computer pair with icons for reservoir, aqueduct, and tap. We already enjoy automated water transport. Internet could automate the transport of virtually everything else. What kind of infrastructure do we need to make that happen? The program cuts to an old city street filled with classic cars. Machines have helped move things for several generations. Performers put boxes, bags, and other objects in car trunks. As vintage vehicles pull out, different ones take the vacated spots. The camera zooms to a bird's eye view. The sequence of drivers getting in cars, driving away, and being replaced repeats on fast forward. Unlike ancient roads, modern roads are not built to last. Every element of this transportation system gets replaced, from vehicle parts and vehicles themselves. A performer changes a tire, and newer cars replace the older ones, to road signs and traffic lights. The elements of the set gradually become more modern until we are in present day. We zoom down to the gray road and see it is worn down, and even the road itself. The parked cars leave, and loud construction vehicles start repaving the road. Roads need replacement due to wear and tear, even in ideal climates. But we are not facing an ideal climate. Stock footage of flooding and wildfire flash on screen. Why rebuild roads that might wash away in floods or melt in extreme heat? The presenter's voice rises over the construction noise. To prepare for climate change, infrastructure needs to change. But perhaps rebuilding for automobiles just pours money down the drain. If a community must build another transportation system, why not buy the best? The noise stops. The video freezes and then rewinds to before the construction. Modern cars are parked as if in tight stalls with their trunks lined up. Imagine a tube running through the cargo holds of these cars. Computer graphics overlaid on the parked cars show a tubular outline encircling the trunks. Animation shows outlines of objects in the trunks. Those outlines start to flow through the tube. Holding out an arm in front of a trunk, the presenter notes, "The size of such a tube would be similar to water mains or sewage lines." Visual effects sweep away concrete to reveal existing underground infrastructure for comparison. The overlay remains, but the underlying image changes to cars parked bumper to bumper along the tubular outline. Constructing such a tube could consume similar resources to a row of parked cars. Claymation stretches the metal from the bodies of the cars into a tube the size of the outline. Cement under the cars thins and stretches around the tube. The transformation process repurposes elements from the automobiles for the new mode of transport. This more realistic-looking tube replaces the tubular outline and then descends underground. Tubes like this could transport the cargo that cars move today. We zoom out to see a network of tunnels reminiscent of the Internet schematic. A shot follows a capsule as it moves along a tube and then branches off into a smaller tube. Back in the kitchen from the top of the episode, a visual effect moves an outline of the smartwatch through the spout. A real smartwatch plops into the sink. Putting on the watch, the presenter muses, "One day, people might move everything but the kitchen sink to and from a device like a kitchen sink."